Hello, welcome to another episode of I'm a Gents podcast. I'm your host, Captain P, with my lovely brothers, Tinas and Joe. Happy 2024, Happy New Year. We've joined you for our first episode of 2024. We've missed you all. And again, welcome to another episode of I'm a Gents podcast. Tinas, Joe, how have you been?
Oh,
Happy
very
New
well.
Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Fantastic. It's good to have you gents back. Let's have a much more exciting, bigger year. Always keeping up with what's happening. So everyone knows the drill. The arrangement has never changed. We have a bit of fun, frivolity, talk about some sports, talk about what's happening in the world of politics. Lots of things happening. 2024 is going to be an exciting year for those who love politics. There'll be a lot of political watching happening. Obviously, we've got a few wars continuing around the world. We still got the issue in Gaza, the issue in Ukraine. But I think people's focus will be switched to Donald Trump and what's happening in America in the next few months. But let's see how we go. So let's start with our favorite topic. We'll talk about the Premier League. We'll talk about the results which happened. Starting with the big game of the weekend, which was Newcastle versus Man City. I saw parts of that game early in the morning, watching the highlights, and we saw the cameo by Kevin De Bruyne. He's back after being injured for 4 months, and we saw him score a goal, create an assist against Newcastle. Newcastle is pretty much struggling, as I predicted a few months later, sitting at 10th place. Anyone watch the games over the weekend? I guess the answer is no with that silence.
No, I didn't get a chance.
A bit of a hiatus for me for football. After my team's performance, I decided to maybe wait a little bit so that I enter the new year in good spirits.
Yep.
And then maybe we can start watching.
All right. I think we can talk about Kevin De Bruyne. I think we've watched some of his games. Where do you rate Kevin De Bruyne? Would you say he's the world's best midfielder, or the world's best midfielder in the last 5 years with Man City's dominance? Would you say he's one of the world's best midfielders, or you wouldn't rate Kevin De Bruyne?
I think I'll definitely put him up there, basing on his consistency. He has always been somebody who has been giving, good numbers, good watchable scores. So good stats, rather. So yes, I think I would put him up there.
And in the history of the Premier League, we've had people like Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane. You've got your Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard. Again, would you put him up as one of the top 5 midfielders in Premier League history? If it's all said and done, if he keeps this pace, I'll think he'll overtake some of those great midfielders, in my personal opinion. And I don't support Man City.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Captain, if he keeps the trajectory, yes, he will get to the likes of Patrick. But it's a steep mountain to climb, because those guys were just,
Legends, huh?
at their own level.
Oh, come on, guys. This guy has won how many Premier Leagues now? I think it's 4 or 5 Premier Leagues. He's won the Champions League. He's created some of the best assists in the game. I think he's over. Look, I like Paul Scholes. I like Roy Keane as a Man U fan. But Kevin De Bruyne is just on another level. Yes, they play a different position, but to me, just some of the things he does with the ball, like Newcastle were winning that game. He comes in 20 minutes.
Yes.
Everything changed in 20 minutes. Just with
I think he's still young, and I think there's that element of oh no, he's still young type of vibe that maybe people are very skeptical of putting him up there as yet. Most of these guys that you spoke about spend a lot of years and they perfected their craft during that time, during their career.
Mm-hmm.
And for him, he has managed to achieve quite a bit, and it is fairly quite young. So I think you're looking at Lampard, and you look at him, and you say, no, he's still a lighty. Maybe let him play a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to look at stats and maybe what he's managed to achieve, you'd be surprised that he's probably up there with those guys.
Yeah, but just in terms of creativity, he's been at Man City since 2015. He's had, from the stats I'm looking, since 2015 up to now, which is about 8-9 years, he's had 6 seasons with double-digit assists. Right?
Yeah. So it comes back to that comment that Tina's made the other time. You see, with these new generation, athletes, you find that because of the sports science included in there, you find that their technique, their strategy, it's completely different to the old fellas like Patrick Vieira and Lampard. Those guys, they were just pure talent. These guys is talent, including the science in it.
Exactly.
So when we talk of Patrick Vieira or Lampard, we're talking of just pure talent,
You guys are stuck in your ways, man.
Hard work.
Like you guys, man. Anything new, you just don't want to agree that, Now you're being about sports science.
No, we have to give these guys some time,
Come on, guys.
We have to give these guys some time.
Come on. I mean, like, okay, you're talking about Kevin De Bruyne's age, right? He's 32 years old. What more do you want him to do? He's not young anymore. 32 in football. I think he's left with 2 to 3 more good years. I think, of course, maybe he plays midfield. Midfield is not taxing on the body. But okay, let's say 4 years. Are you telling me in 4 years, when he's 36, when it's all said and done, if he keeps this pace of 15, 16 assists, 9 goals a season, which is, even better than what Gerrard and Lampard were doing. I know Lampard was scoring 20 goals, but I'm telling you about assisting, changing the game, controlling the pace of the game.
I thought he was younger than that.
No, he's 32.
That's what I thought as well.
Yeah.
He's 32. So you guys are not.
I thought he was like 28 or.
No,
he's
that
32. Definitely changes the conversation, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if because he still falls within the bracket of what do you call Gen what?
Gen Z.
These are all born. These guys are all born in the 90s. Mo Salah is 31. This whole crop. After the next 3 years, they won't be the best players anymore. We'll be talking of other players, your Mbappe's, your whoever, Garnachos, your Jude Bellinghams. Those are the ones coming on now. So with all said and done, I know you guys might want, to defend. As I said, I spoke about Roy Keane. I spoke about Patrick Vieira. At the end of the day, the stats which Kevin De Bruyne is pulling up, they're a bit
remarkable. But here you're looking at different. You've spoken about different. What you call times. The Roy Keanes and the Vieiras would fall under one, wouldn't they? And then the Gerrards, the Lampards, the Scholes. Well, Scholes kind of overlaps because he had been there for quite a while. Can we safely say the football here is the same?
No, we can't say the football tactically is the same, but we're saying midfield is midfield. Midfield controls the tempo of the game. Right?
Yeah.
Would you say Kevin De Bruyne, the way he controls the tempo of the game, is not at a higher level than some of these legendary players?
It definitely is. I mean, when you look at people like Scholes, if he was running that mid, at his peak, you definitely see that he's in control of what's happening in that game. He had the ability to change the way things looked. Even Gerrard, and sometimes he would really just, switch gears, and all of a sudden the game has changed. So I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I just feel like, I don't know. I think maybe it's something that I would really like to sort of go in and check, because I initially, I think what put me off is I thought he was way younger than what you say he is.
Yeah, even
so-
I'm still believing that he is like 28 or so.
He's just got a young face. He's got a young looking face, and he started to play at a young age. I think he was a Chelsea product, and Mourinho flocked him off to. You should know more, Tinas. You're a Chelsea man. He's a former Chelsea boy, and Mourinho flocked him off to the Bundesliga, and he came back.
Yeah, just like it did Mo Salah and all these other good players that we ended up losing.
Yeah. So, as I said, to me, he's ranking up there. If Man City win another 2-3 titles in the next 4 years, and Kevin De Bruyne is still the central cog of how they've played, like for example, they're going for 4 in a row. It's never been done in Premier League history.
Yeah.
The great man.
And he's been a regular in all of those squads.
In all of those squads. So if they do 4 in a row in the Premier League, on top of that, within that 4-year span, they've won the Champions League. And, we watch American sports. They would be calling it one of the best dynasties ever if it was in American sports.
Yeah. If they did rings, how many rings would they have?
Yeah, that's like 5 rings or 4 rings in 4 years.
Yeah.
Even the great Michael Jordan couldn't do 4 titles. By the time they did their 3-peats, his first 3-peat, he retired. The second 3-peat, he left again, because that's how taxing it is. Imagine this guy is going for 4 in a row. Come on, man. And I'm not
like Michael Jordan, hey?
No, I'm not. I mean, I said it. I'm objective, unlike you guys. I'm objective, unlike you guys. But no, I'm just saying.
No.
This is how painful it is as a Man U supporter to say that Man City, they've done the treble. Okay, it's the same as Man U. Now we can't brag about it. Now if they go on a strong run, hope Liverpool is the one leading the league table at the moment. But if Man City go on their usual 12, 15 games of winning every game, they've won 4 in a row. So it is what it is. So looking at other results, I know there's a bit of a break in the Premier League where teams are having a bit of their January break. And the matches were few. Man United played Tottenham. That was the other big game of the weekend on the Sunday. It was a 2-2 draw. Very disappointing. Very, very, very disappointed in Man United. Tottenham had 3 of their key players out of the game. Heung-min Son, James Maddison, and Kulusevski. You had people Bissouma and Sarr at the AFCON. So, yeah, man, 5 players, 5 starters, and we struggled. Tottenham's B team basically had more possession in Old Trafford, which is not something we can brag about. Tottenham had 64% possession, more shots at goal, more shots on target. Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag now is at the point where people really need to question him. Because if Ange Postecoglou, the Australian from Melbourne, can change Tottenham and give it an identity in 6 months, what has Eric Ten Hag done? And Ange Postecoglou has lost his key players. 5 key players are out, and they still play the same way. High pressing, fast-flowing football. And what is bloody Eric Ten Hag doing at Man United? That's the question we need to ask now. And I think we need to ask that question as Man U supporters. If someone can come and change a team from contest-style negative football to Tottenham playing aggressive, entertaining football in 6 months, what has this other person done? Same questions need to be asked of Pochettino as well. If we were talking in the same breath.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll leave it to you, gentlemen. Joe is just smiling. He's like, what are these problems, this guy? You know, my Jurgen Klopp has rebuilt another team. Liverpool is sitting pretty 2 points ahead of Man City there at 45 points.
And we've got one more game to play to get to 21 matches like you.
Yeah.
We're way up ahead. So consider that an additional 3-pointer because the next game we're winning.
Yeah, I think Liverpool is playing this coming weekend, as I said, with all this
Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth.
It's a win.
But that's Bournemouth away. Bournemouth has been on a good run. They're sitting at 12th. And Bournemouth, their last 5 games, they've won 4 out of the last 5. So Bournemouth is in form. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, Chelsea played this weekend, right?
Yes.
What happened?
1-0 win over Fulham. Yeah. That's all I can say about that.
It doesn't show like it's, giving any morale in the camp.
I don't know. I tried to watch the match. I fell asleep, and really, that's the energy I have. It's not giving good vibes. The team is they won. Yeah, we'll take it, put it in the bag, but I don't think they're doing enough. I don't think they're doing enough.
But it's still all right because as it stands right now, you are surviving relegation. So,
we're up to 9 now.
Yeah, you're in top 10. Yeah, so relegation, and unless this is like a disqualification, but you're good.
You never know with EPL, man. You never know. 3 defeats and you're sitting in a different chair.
Oh dear.
That was funny. The way you just shook your head, man. Just that's a cracker. But no, look, moving on to some breaking news, which is happening at the time of recording. In the last 30 minutes, Jose Mourinho has been sacked by Roma after an abysmal defeat by AC Milan. Is it safe to say that club football is no longer for Jose Mourinho? We'll go back to Tina's. I know he loves Jose Mourinho because when Chelsea started their renaissance under Abramovich, he's the man who led it. So I think Tina's has got a very special heart for the former special one. Is he the former? Yeah, actually, let's just call him the former special one. Now he's the failure one.
Look, man. I think maybe his style of coaching has not evolved enough to go hand in hand with what the world is offering right now. Back then, yes, maybe he had an edge, but people know him now. They know who he's about, and unfortunately, I don't think he has changed. Because you always have to grow as you move on. Your tactics, your demeanor, and everything like that. You also have to improve as you go along. And I think the same person he was in Chelsea is the same person he was in Roma. And look, man, he's been to Manchester United. He's been to what other team was in?
Real Madrid, Tottenham.
Real Madrid, exactly. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it's all about being able to be creative and being able to recreate at the same time, being able to
reinvent yourself, isn't it? To reinvent yourself.
The new nuances of your career. And I don't think he has managed to do that, unfortunately.
But when he started with Roma, did he not give them the trophy that they had not touched in almost a decade?
I think they hadn't won a European trophy for many years. Yeah. But the style of football is like, if you watch some of the Roma highlights, man, it's just other teams are pounding their goal line. and then they want to go on the counter attack. You know, the way he used to play with Chelsea, solid defense, a big physical striker, he's got Lukaku. He had Zlatan Ibrahimovic at Man United. He had Didier Drogba. Even Benny McCarthy was there. So at Porto. So he hasn't really evolved his, as Tina's alluded, he hasn't reinvented himself. That lack of reinvention, you know what I mean? Look at how things ended at Tottenham, how things ended at Man U, how things ended at Real Madrid. Real Madrid was having issues with people, you're like your Ozils, your Cristianos. Even Chelsea, second time around. Yes, he won the title the third time, but I think the next season wasn't he sacked halfway through the season. So character, just as I said, I think the word which encapsulates everything is lack of reinvention.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking at a comment that was made by Andrea Bellotti, and he's just saying we hit rock bottom. They're ninth, but already they can see that we're not going anywhere. That's quite sad.
Yeah. Now they had to make hard decisions there. Tough
and
decisions.
you see some of the language here. He says Jose says to fans, think he's Harry Potter after raising expectations. You see the arrogance that he's got. At Man United, he was talking about football heritage. Everywhere he seems, he's got an excuse to justify his lack of evolving. Even Pep plays possession football, but Pep used to play 4-3-3. Last season, he was playing a 3-4-3. You change the way you play. Everyone is now putting the fullbacks into the midfield. It was Pep who started that. All those types.
Yeah, your style is going to be almost a fluid type of. You also have to react to other coaches, because the other coaches that are being brought in. You're talking about the Tottenham coach who, the Australian guy who came into the English Premier League. He obviously has different ways of playing football. So you as a coach, if you're going to play against him, you also have to change certain things to match what he's capable of achieving, or at least to counter what he's able to achieve. Not being just the same all the time. People can now know your strategies, your tactics. If you don't change, definitely where he is now is exactly a result of that.
And I don't think any big club will take him anymore. I think his next bid might be coaching a national team. I think his football works for a cup competition, like a World Cup or a European Cup or an AFCON.
Maybe America or maybe Saudi Arabia, man. Everyone is going there, so why not?
Maybe.
After such a disgrace, guys, I think it's high time for retirement for him.
No, I think he can go and coach.
With these guys.
Look, these guys have got contacts. I think he's got a good agent. What's his name? George Mendes, the popular agent who's got lots of links with big clubs. So he will be surprised at his next journey. So wish Mourinho all the best. Hopefully the next club, he will try and reinvent himself. But I don't think he'll change. Now it's many years, everyone hoping a change. And nothing's happened. Moving to the AFCON, African Cup of Nations, that started over the weekend, which is being hosted in the Ivory Coast. And looking at the results there, the hosts won 2-0. And then Nigeria drew, Egypt drew. The big surprise is Ghana losing against Cape Verde. That's the big surprise. And then you've got Senegal.
I didn't know that one.
That's the big surprise so far. So Ghana, looking at their lineup, we've got some good players in that Ghana squad. You've got players like Salisu play in the Premier League. You've got Jordan Ayew. Man, it was a big surprise, Ghana. You've got players like Inaki Williams from Atletico Bilbao in the La Liga. And yeah, I don't know if they'll come out of the group. We'll see how they go. And then you've got the favorite, Senegal. Senegal won resoundingly 3-0 against Gambia. With Sadio Mane leading the line. And then you've got Koulibaly. You've got Mendy, the former Chelsea goalkeeper. So Senegal are the favorites, of course. Nigeria's got the hottest striker, or was the hottest striker last season in Europe. In Victor Osimhen, he scored in their 1-0 draw. So we'll see. I think my prediction is a Nigeria-Senegal final. Ivory Coast.
Not Ivory Coast.
Yeah. Of course, they're the hosts. They're on
Coast and Senegal. Yeah.
Either that, Ivory Coast, Senegal, because again, Ivory Coast have got a good team. They've got Frank Kessie, they've got Jonathan Bamba, and then Fofana as well. So there are some good players who are pretty successful at the moment in European football, playing for these national teams. So let's see. We'll keep everyone updated on the African Cup of Nations. And then I think matches which are coming up this week. Again, wow, that'll be a good watch. But it'll be Friday, 3 a.m. in the morning on Eastern Standard Time. That's Ivory Coast versus Nigeria. I think that'll be a good game to watch. Might sacrifice just sleeping on the couch so that sacrifice watching that at 3 a.m. And then when it finishes, just get ready for work, eh? So Ivory Coast, Nigeria. That's the big game coming up this week. And then you've got
for me it'll be very good time because it will be like 4 a.m. my time.
No, it'll be 1 a.m. your time.
Wake up early and just finish off at work.
It'll be 1 a.m. your time.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yes.
It'll be 1 a.m. your time, bro.
Yeah, I'll be sleeping.
So anyway, we wish everyone who's participating in the African Cup of Nations all the success. And then moving forward into La Liga, we've still got our surprise package, which is Girona. Girona is now back on the top of the table, 1 point ahead of Real Madrid. We've got a game in hand. I think Real Madrid had a resounding victory over the weekend in the Supercopa. They beat Barcelona 4-1. Jude Bellingham performing well. Again, in February, to be a good match to watch, Girona versus Real Madrid, top of the table clash. That'll be in the middle of February. So I think that's all our sports roundup. There's always sports happening. We can spend our own.
Well,
any questions
before we move on? I don't know if you guys saw the Mourinho comments about African players. Well, maybe we just touch on that shortly.
Yeah, go ahead.
In brief, what's your take on it? You're saying he doesn't want African players to be representing other nations, because he suggests that maybe that's the only way that African teams will actually have a shot at getting any international trophies, like the World Cup, obviously. And what's your take on that? Is it the players or is it the coaches?
I think it's the players as well, because some of the talented players, if they were born, for example, in France, France will obviously assimilate them into their system. And usually you get the players who are not eligible to get in either in the France team, Portugal team, Spanish team, who now decide to play for the African countries. They're still good players, but they are not that level. If you look at the French team, which won the 2018 World Cup, there were only basically 3 3 players were of white descent. You had Giroud, Griezmann, and Lloris. But if you
Yes.
look at everyone else, you're all, of African or other descent, which is non-white French.
Yeah, but when you look at, we could also, turn the argument around and say there's no African coach who's playing, who's in charge of a team in any of the top leagues. So it's probably maybe the coaches.
I think there are some good coaches out there, but they haven't had the chance or the exposure or be given the opportunity to go and coach in other places. That can lead to another whole discussion of racial hirings. No disparagement to Ange. He's a good coach. He coached Australia well. He won the Asian Cup, and he went to Japan. He won in Japan. Then he went to Scotland. But what about some of the African coaches who've won the African Cup of Nations we're talking about? Why haven't they been given a chance to coach like a Scottish team or a team in Japan?
Yeah.
And ply your trade there and go through the long journey and come and coach a team in the Premier League.
Yeah, maybe because they're not good enough.
You think so?
No, I'm just poking the.
No. But I'm saying not all coaches who've won the African Cup of Nations have been of Caucasian race or from Europe. They've been African coaches who won the African Cup of Nations, right? So they've won their continental tournament.
Yes.
Right? It's just like a coach who's won the Copa America, the South American continental tournament. They've been given opportunities to coach in some of these bigger clubs. Right? You can't tell me all these black coaches are bad coaches or they're not good enough.
So why aren't we seeing that switch from African football into that European?
Yeah, but look at the top players. We're talking Victor Osimhen. He's Europe's hottest property. Everyone wants him as a striker. He's of Nigerian descent.
Mm-hmm.
Mo Salah is Egyptian. Sadio Mane, Senegalese. Right?
But the argument there is we didn't know them when they were in Africa. We only knew them after they were picked out. Probably went through early stages of that European leagues, and then only after a few years to then start.
But there's some players who we know by watching the AFCON. When we grew up, we watched the AFCON. It comes back to your favorite player. In the point which I raised, that he had the advantage of branding. Other leagues have got advantage of branding and marketing.
I'm thinking of a comparison right now.
I'm not picking on Jordan. I'm not picking on Jordan. Don't
I don't even want to get into Jordan because I know you don't like Jordan. But if I want to bring this a bit closer to home, we're looking at players like Peter Ndlovu, who those guys were picked and went straight into playing for an English team in the league. And right now, most of these youngsters that we see here, how many of them actually do go through that process? Or they're taken in, going to an academy. Yeah. After going into an academy, they then go through the lower leagues, and then if they make it there, then they will pop up into getting into the EP.
Yeah, okay.
These are the Osimhen guys.
It's just like, again, we can bring it close to him. We've got players like Benjani.
Yeah.
He went from the leagues of playing in Zimbabwe and went straight to England. So there are players who've been scouted. They've done well in their local leagues, right? We're not saying that everyone who comes out of the local leagues are good, but people like Mane started in the local leagues, right? Then you've got people who were born in Europe because their parents were migrants. So they've got dual nationalities or dual heritage. So they can choose to say, okay, I don't want to play for France. I want to go and play for Ghana.
Yeah.
Now, let me take us a little bit back there. Tinas, were you not talking about coaches coming in to coach like, big league teams like,
Yeah.
Premier League?
Yeah, because I was just thinking, we're just flipping the coin and saying, how come we've never seen African coaches actually coaching these guys? So is it about the players or is it so much about the coaches?
Or maybe we are trying to beat about the bush, not raising the card,
maybe you can raise it for us, brother.
Who raised the race card?
No. Yeah, we can raise it. In this point, we can raise it because you've got people like, let's say, for example, Lucas Radebe, right?
Yeah.
He was a good defender. He played for Leeds United very, very well, right? And he's coached, right? All right. And you've seen people like Frank Lampard, who are, the poster boys of Chelsea, who've done a shit job, get the Chelsea job again, do another shit job. You know what I mean? But people like Lucas Radebe, who've played, a person like Sol Campbell, he's played at the highest level, right? Let's not go far away. Sol Campbell, he was a top defender at Tottenham and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he had a shot?
Samuel Eto'o.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone like Wayne Rooney, who was shit in Washington, D.C., right? Again, he's a former Man United player. So you see, I'm very objective. I don't hold anyone.
Yeah.
He was shit at Washington, D.C. He came and coached Birmingham City. It was 6th when he joined Birmingham City. He left it at 20th position. Right? And he was sacked. He was signed in the middle of the season. He was sacked in the middle of the season. Right?
That's how bad he was.
So you see, and so you're telling me another, whether it's African coach who's won the AFCON, let's say it's a black coach who's won, or Rigo Besson. Rigo Besson played in the Premier League. He coaches Cameroon. Right? If Cameroon wins the AFCON, why isn't Rigo Besson on the line with other board of directors to say, Rigo Besson, you played for, I don't know what, I think he played for Aston Villa. Why is he not being given the opportunity to?
Well, we're talking about even, what's this guy's name? Who was it? Man City. Yaya Toure.
Yaya Toure.
Yeah. We're also looking at guys like that. I think Yaya Toure right now is there an assistant coach or somewhere? I think he's doing some coaching, but you never see those guys growing up into being full-fledged coaches in big teams.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, the race card has to be lifted here, and a lot of other questions.
So right now, Yaya Toure is the assistant coach with the Saudi national team, right? So let's put Yaya Toure's football career with Steven Gerrard. Yaya Toure was a central cog in Barcelona with Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o at the start of the Barcelona Renaissance. From Frank Rijkaard, when Frank Rijkaard was coaching, and Pep Guardiola. He had his disagreements with Pep. He went to Man City. At Man City, he was the driving force to their first league titles. So are you telling me Yaya Toure, he's working under Roberto Mancini, a proven coach? So you're telling me if Yaya Toure is the assistant manager, in 2-3 years, he can't get a job to coach in the Premier League?
Yeah. So my flag is relevant there.
Let's put Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard never won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yaya Toure drove that Man City team. At one point, he was so powerful, no other midfielder could get on top of him in the midfield of Man City.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say Okay, let's give it a project, right? We've got the World Cup 2026, and Roberto Mancini is still coaching Saudi Arabia with Yaya Toure. After the 2026 World Cup, if there's a Premier League job open, all right, and Yaya Toure, if he's got a good agent, they should apply for the job. Should apply for the jobs. Because Yaya Toure is a proven player.
But with all the racism that happens in European football at large, do you think those teams are willing to put out a coach like that?
So that's why I say all that bullshit which they put to us about kick it out, virtue signaling, no to racism. If they cannot put someone like Yaya Toure, he's done the hard yards. He's working under Roberto Mancini. Right? He's doing the understudy work with a proven winner. He was a proven winner as a footballer. 2026, if there's a job opening, Yaya Toure should be given an opportunity. If Steven Gerrard was given an opportunity because he won a Champions League in Istanbul, right? And he won with fucking Rangers in the Scottish League, right? Frank Lampard, he coached Derby, right? Derby County. And he was given an opportunity because he's a Chelsea legend. Not once, but twice. And he still fucked it up. I'm sorry for the language. I've been quiet about it because I don't usually like to play the race card. But when the race card is so obviously blatant there, you have to raise it out.
I definitely.
Wayne Rooney.
It definitely comes
Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney. He was shit in America. Gets a job. And he was shit here again. and Wayne Rooney gave me some of my high school and whatever enjoyment in the early parts of the 2000s, mid parts of the 2000s. He's a good footballer, but don't tell me there's no racial profiling in these owners, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Then
Their funding will go away if they put one of his African.
Like you see now you see, I don't like affirmative action because you're basically giving me a job, right? Because the government have told you, you need to have 1 or 2 brown colored people, not because of the content that I have.
Yeah.
Or the skill that I have. I've given you example of Yaya Toure, Sol Campbell. There's nothing which stops these guys being given the opportunity to coach. Like
I think with someone like Vieira has done a decent job. Not the best job, but I think he's done a decent job.
At Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Where's his other opportunity? If Lampard can get another opportunity, where's his opportunity?
Yeah.
Lampard was even given Everton, and he did a crap job in it. Anyway, we digress. Thank you for bringing. I think it's another. It needs a whole session.
It needs a whole session. This one, yeah.
He was given Everton, and he did a shit job, man. Imagine. What more? Okay, if you're telling me about white privilege, right? Yeah. If you're talking about white privilege, these are the definitions of white privilege, which people should really talk about, right? This guy has been given spoon-fed opportunities there, bruh. There. Because you are a good-looking Englishman with nice, hair. He can twirl it back. He's better than some of us who are balding. He can twirl it back and stuff,
And we can even talk about people like Southgate. Is it really the best coach to be coaching England? In all honesty, and you just begin to wonder.
So some of these the racial things people talk about. These are things people need to bring up to say, Why is this guy getting 4 or 5 chances, but certain player with a similar career? I'm not harping on Yaya Toure. Maybe if he watches this video, he can make me his agent and I can advocate for him. This guy played with Ronaldinho. He played with Messi. You know, he played with top players. He played with Drogba. He knows the art of football. He was a midfielder. He controlled the tempo of the game. When Yaya Toure came, he had 3-4 years in the Premier League where he was the most feared midfielder in the Premier League.
Yeah, and the only reason he left was I think there was a misunderstanding with was it Pep or was it
Pep? That's when Pep joined. So yeah, it was Pep. So yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, let's move on. So keeping in the world of this type of political dynamic, moving through to the Republican primaries, which have kickstarted 2024. As we're saying, 2024 is going to be a raucous year. Donald Trump resoundingly won the projected to win the delegates of Iowa by about 70%, which is a resounding victory, especially with all these issues that he has. The young talent Vivek Ramaswamy has dropped out and he has endorsed Donald Trump. So you've got Ron DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida, who did well during COVID. Some say because it was a bit of a warmer climate, he had an advantage. But again, I think he did a good job with COVID there. Then you've got Nikki Haley with some of the conservative media not appreciating her. So, yeah, gents, what are your thoughts about Trump? First primary, I think the next one is in New Hampshire, where he's projected to win, where he's leading by about 11-12% on his nearest rival. I think he's sewn up this Republican thing unless something really drastic happens with all his court cases. But I think all these court cases are just emboldening his supporters even more. So, yeah, I'll open the floor to you, gents. Your thoughts, quick thoughts on that? It's just started. I know by the time we get to the middle of the year, people will be talking more and more about it.
I honestly feel I don't know. The world was not ready for Trump the first time. Even those that did not want him to be in power were not ready for what happened. I'm sure this time around, there will be a more concerted effort in trying to get him out of the way. We've been hearing reports of, the World Economic Forum was not very happy with that. It took, a good 4 years off their plans because obviously he's not on the same side with them. He has a lot of cowboyish sort of tendencies where he's not, he doesn't play with everybody else in that in those spheres very well. He has a very what's the word we could use there? A very sort of what's the word? Out there approach that is not what people would want him to do. So there's a lot of people that obviously wouldn't want him to be in that seat. So I feel like with all these court cases and his past, I don't see him making it. He has done well, and I think he will do well in the next few months to come. But then at the end of the day, I think they'll find one or two areas, like Pennsylvania. I know Pennsylvania is very key. They'll find a few states like that they'll just catch him, and you just, he's done.
Maybe in 2024, you might now 2020, you could have said that, but this train, They blocked off all his channels until Elon Musk opened it up on Twitter. But he's still popular. So look,
But that's just the beginning of what they can do. If America can clearly shut out Trump in certain spheres of media and what have you, then what I was saying, that's almost
the media actually want him. You should have seen some of the channels today. It's like they've got a fresh lease of life, like your CNNs, your MSNBC, whatever you call that.
Yeah, because this is news they can't not report on.
No. They want him because it gave them 4 years of traction, right? These past 4 years, they haven't had that traction. Right? They might say, "Oh, he's like this," but the same songbirds from 2016 to 2020, when he was in power, have started to pop up again. You say, "Oh, where's this person been for 4 years?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've now started to pop up, the talking heads on CNN, on BBC. They're now getting their faces back on the screen.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't know, Joe. What's your take?
Oh dear. Listening to both of you guys, it's hilarious. I agree with Tinas and I disagree with Tinas. So you find that with Donald Trump, these primaries, I think he's already pocketed them. They are already his. He's definitely going to win, but we never know unless meteor hits America. Other than that, he's gonna win this. Right. On the point of him becoming the next president, there's a bit of a war that the mainstream media and the big government, which we call the deep state, is actually working hard, tirelessly, to make sure that he does not step foot in the White House. So his win will be solely dependent on the people giving the deep state a big FU.
Yeah.
And the industrial complex is going to be given a big FU. That will be Donald Trump's win. Other than that, if you follow whatever is happening on the mainstream media and on the alternative media, you find that there is great polarity in terms of what people are saying and thinking about his candidature in the coming elections. So I would say let the people speak.
Yeah.
And I think this situation, if Joe Biden is a very popular incumbent, let him run. Let him face Trump. There shouldn't be these states trying to remove him off the ballot. I think there was one state which tried to remove him, and that case is now with the Supreme Court. So let the people decide. If he loses again, he's lost again. But if
if they put Biden up for that rerun, then they're just shooting themselves in the foot, because he totally fucked up things, and it was right there for everyone to see. So if they think Biden's going to win over Trump, then they're daydreaming.
So everyone knows the last 4 years, Biden is really fucked up a lot of things. In the political landscape, things have happened. Let's talk about the wars. There were no wars in 4 years over Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cut 1 year because of COVID. Everything was locked down because of COVID. So there was no one was going to antagonize someone else during lockdowns. So for 3 years, nothing happened. With Biden, within 3 years, we've had 2 wars.
Yeah, and he just doesn't seem like he's the one who's running that whole machine. America is a big country that has a lot of influence around the world, and if the president himself doesn't seem to be running that operation, then there are a lot of questions that are being asked. So who is running it? And I think more than anybody else, the Americans themselves have begun to realize that, you know what, maybe this thing is not really ours like we thought it was. Maybe somebody's trying to, have a say in how we should live and what have you. And then, this whole issue with Israel and what have you, them realizing that there are a lot more Israelis who are in charge of, key areas of that government. The monies that are being taken to Ukraine, the monies that are being taken to Israel, and all of these things. When you look at it, look, Trump should win. But then at the end of the day, these guys are controlling the inner workings of that machine, and I won't be surprised they can pull a George Bush. What year was that? Was it 2002? Where they totally just cheated outright.
Where 2000, when he was elected, they had to go to court. So it might go to the Supreme Court. There might be something. Look, as I said, 2024
similar.
2024 is going to be very weird. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at him. But we'll see how we go. As I said, he's still got the two favored people. They are not dropping out, Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. The Republican establishment, the OGs of the Republican Party, they want one of these career politicians. One outsider has already dropped out in Vivek. There's one outsider still left there, Trump, who's leading. But the two establishment ones are there. So something might happen.
The only thing, the only way to remove him is assassination.
Yeah, well, that's never something that we can remove from the table.
Yeah. So, but as I said, the two
previously, Tucker Carlson was saying that. I'm saying Tucker Carlson was mentioning that now they've tried to silence him, and now they tried to remove him on ballots and everything. The next step is arrest him. They can't arrest him now because all the cases now, they are slowly falling apart. And then the next stage is kill him. If they can't defeat him using, crooked legal ways, the next thing is to chop his head off and leave Nikki or Ron to run the show.
Yeah, and I don't put it too far away from them. I think they're very capable of doing it. And
yeah. So let's watch this space. It's going to be an interesting time. As I said, good start to 2024, gentlemen. Thank you for an absolutely beautiful podcast session. Many more things we can talk about. But we'll leave our viewers with some of these hard-hitting topics. Mourinho being sacked, Trump winning the Iowa first primary. Is there extensive white privilege in some of these big sports where white coaches are getting opportunities 3-4 times without bringing out the results? So leave your comments in your comment section. You can find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, find us on rumble.com. You can watch our clips, listen to the full episodes on wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you and have an awesome week.